everybody, and welcome to the February 2019 episode of Out of the Vault. If you are new to my channel, welcome, it's a pleasure to have you, and to all of you returning, it is always great to discuss everything from the magical world of Disney. Today, we are going to be continuing on with the Toy Story franchise in anticipation for the fourth installment. I know that some of us are more anticipative towards that movie than others, but either way, I wouldn't be your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome doing this show right if I didn't give you guys all of the films that led up to the newest installment in the franchise. So we're going to be talking about the third Pixar film from 1999, Toy Story 2. Once again, we have John Lasseter in the director's chair, and the entire cast headlined by Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, with a couple of new additions to the cast, including Joan Cusack, Kelsey Grammer, and Wayne Knight. So, this film, before it even came to the big screen, there was always something to say. People were wondering, why do you make a sequel on what may in fact be one of the most amazing Disney films of all time in the world of Pixar? There are many that say that Toy Story is the greatest animated film of all time. It was a landmark, it was a phenomenon, so why ruin it in the way that almost all films are ruined with a follow-up film? But for me personally, I felt that Pixar was not your average movie studio. There was something special with this group of men and women who wanted to do great things with animation, and I truly went in with the highest of expectations, and I did very much enjoy that film. After I saw it in theaters, did I think that it was better than the original? It had some higher points that were better, but I still sort of felt that Toy Story was the better film. However, it has been a while since I've seen this film, and it may in fact be a very long time since you've seen it, because when it comes to the Toy Story trilogy, soon to be quadrilogy, Toy Story 2 is the film in the franchise that never truly had its fixed place. It has always been a mixed bag. Some think it's the worst, some think it's the best, some are not even sure what to think. And when I decided that it was time to see this movie as part of Out of the Vault, I really wanted to see if I would officially bury the hatchet on my own personal thoughts towards this film. And let me tell you, there were some amazing revelations that came to pass after I watched Toy Story 2 for the first time in a long time. And this movie is probably the most underappreciated of the Toy Story trilogy. This movie, of course, starts off pretty much where I thought it was going to go. Basically, in the case of all the toys, it is now Woody that needs to be rescued by his friends in Andy's room, and as Andy is off to cowboy camp, they have a couple of hours to make sure that Woody is back in his room. But one of the things that actually happens to Woody is Andy accidentally tears his arm. And through that, a toy collector, who also happens to be the spokesperson for the big toy chain in the city, kidnaps him and brings him to his apartment, where Woody makes an astounding discovery, especially after the first film when he was so jealous of Buzz Lightyear. He realizes that there is more to himself than meets the eye. He was a classic vintage pop culture icon way back in the golden age of television. Sort of like a Howdy Doody kind of character for the time. And Al wants to bring him and the entire toy collection of Woody's old show, Woody's Roundup, to the Toy Museum in Tokyo to be admired by children for generations. And of course, the toys have to rescue him. But the interesting thing about this film is, it doesn't sound like the most amazing follow-up to the film that blew kids' and grown-ups' minds for generations to come. But as the film goes on, something happens, and it's a very positive thing. All of a sudden, the world of a toy is taken to deeper, more emotional, and more thought-provoking levels, and all it takes is a Randy Newman song sung by Sarah McLachlan, and it is called When Somebody Loved Me. We learn about Jessie the yodeling cowgirl, who was the second in command in Woody's little Roundup gang. She was very upset how Woody has to get back to Andy, even though he knows that this is an amazing thing for him. But when she tells him the story of her past, we not only get an emotional feeling from a character that is a toy in a Disney film, But that is when all of us, especially those of us who have come with age and put our toys away or sold them or put them into storage, we suddenly get filled with these crazy emotions of how we feel about our own toys. It turns out that Al is not the biggest threat in Woody's world in this film, but rather it is the most unexpected of people, and it happens to be Stinky Pete, the old prospector who is voiced by Kelsey Grammer. He was part of Woody's roundup, but even he had a mission, and that mission was to be loved, because his story reminded me of when I was a kid, and I went to the toy stores, and when they didn't have that one specific toy that I wanted, but they had plenty of the side characters, of the villains, of the not-so-loved characters outside of the main one, did I rush to pick that one off the shelf just because of the fact that I wanted to have that character for the sake of having that toy in my collection? No! I let it stay on the shelf. And through time, these exact toys would not get sold. They'd end up on discount shelves, in scrap yards. And that is where this movie really does do something that the original Toy Story did not do. It really takes us and allows us to look within ourselves and see how did we treat our toys when we were kids, and how did we actually feel when we grew up and parted ways with them? What happened to them? Why did we part ways with them? If we knew that we were going to part ways with them, why did we even buy them in the first place? It's a whole new perspective on the life of a toy when it comes to a movie like Toy Story 2. If toys could really talk, and if toys could think, do they want to be put in display boxes and be ogled at by so many people just for the purposes of a photo op, or for children looking at them behind glass and pointing at them and saying, "Mommy, Mommy, look at this amazing old toy"? No. What a toy really wants at the end of the day is just to be played with and be loved, regardless of what happens at the end of the day. And even though I am someone who did throw out a lot of my old toys, a lot of them were actually broken and just not what they were when they first came out of the box. I was someone who learned about collecting toys and how you had to keep them in their boxes and just admire them. Now, do I do that? Yes, I do, and I won't deny that. But there are also certain toys that are made these days that are not made for the sake of being played with. Put your comments in the box below if you want to learn a little bit about those. But it's one of the main reasons why I love Funko Pops, because Funko Pops, while I do keep them on display in their boxes, they are designed for the purposes of display, but you can easily take those vinyl figures in and out of their boxes. So you can take them out, you can play with them, you can hold them, you can admire them, and then you can just put them back in the box and put them back on their shelves. And that's why I think that a company like Funko really understands the beauty and the love of a toy. And Toy Story 2 is one of those movies that exemplifies the love and the life of a toy, and how kids adore them and why they need them in their lives. And I will say, Toy Story 2 is definitely better than the original, and while the first one still is perfect, this one is equally perfect, but in very different ways, for better or for worse. There is really no way that I could give this movie less than 4 stars. Even though I already gave the original Toy Story 4 stars, I wouldn't be surprised if I rewatched Toy Story 3 later this year and give that movie 4 stars as well. But it's because of the fact that each and every one of these 3 films is truly special and perfect in their own ways. And if you are still on the fence about how you truly feel about Toy Story 2, and you've watched this review to the very end, I think you might want to give Toy Story 2 a rewatch and see if you connect with it the same way that I recently did. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I had a feeling that this was going to be one of my longest reviews for Out of the Vault, just because this movie gave me so much to say, and I just had to get it all out for you. So please comment in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Toy Story 2, or just the whole Toy Story franchise in general, and I will see you in the next episode of Out of the Vault. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.